everyone, this is Raymond Floatsat from MXDWN.com. That's Mixdown. We're here again at Summer Game Fest Play Days, day 2 this time, and it's total freaking madness. And we are so happy to be over here with the wonderful people from Wizards of the Coast and Magic the Gathering, and Daniel, senior game designer for Magic. How are you today?
Good, how are you?
I can't complain. I mean, I can't complain. It's like product heaven over here. How is it for you being here in this mess?
It's great. You know, we just played our one-on-one game, had a lot of fun there, and it's just so exciting to see the Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy set come to life and be released. Players have these cards now. It's wild.
You know, what I can't keep straight, because I try to every time a set comes out, total cards announced, or everything is announced now because we're in pre-release. Right?
Yes, everything's out, because this is pre-release weekend. You can get the decks, you can play pre-release at your local game stores. Everything's on Arena on Tuesday, and the next week the full release, which is basically the same thing, but you'll be able to find that everywhere.
Is there a number you can give me, total cards in the set?
Ooh, it's over 300 in the main set, I believe. The commander decks are 100 cards each, so that's another 400. I led these. And then there's the starter kits, and I think those have 6 new cards per deck, so another 12 there. So you do that quick math.
2,000? Yeah, 800. 2,000, 4,000? We're way off track. And we have standard, right, 4 commander decks per set. That's usually it.
Yeah,
right?
There's 4 commander decks. We did something cool with this set where each commander deck is its own game. So if you buy the Final Fantasy X deck, that is all Final Fantasy X cards, all the non-land cards there. And yeah, it's amazing. So the
Homie's trying to kill me.
So here we have Final Fantasy 6, 7, 10, and 14. So if you love those games, you'll want to grab one of these decks. And my favorite thing here is, like, they have. Sorry, I'm going to start that again.
Take your time.
So the cool thing with these is, like, each of them is kind of their own universe. Like, some of them have elves, some of them don't. So, like, when picking the reprints, I got to put elves in the 10 deck because that game has elves. But, you know, Final Fantasy 7 doesn't, so even though it's a green deck, couldn't use any elf reprints. And it was really fun picking the reprints based on, like, story moments, characters, things like that.
So the most important thing to me is, because the lore of Final Fantasy being kind of bottle games in the way that they are, this loose continuity in some of them, but generally they're all their own little worlds and they're all their own little stories. With so many things to pick from, was it entirely up to you to decide which characters, events, or happenings, or in some cases items, as we saw one of the equipments that we're looking at, was it your choice to make which ones to use?
Yeah, to some degree. So I would start with picking those reprints, picking those new characters, but it's really working with creative. We have Dylan Deviney here in the booth as well. He was the creative lead for the set. I worked really close with him. Every morning I'd be like, hey, does this work? Can I do this reprint for this concept? And he's like, that's tight. Or maybe it was only in pixel art, like for Final Fantasy 6 was the pixel era, so a lot of those references were tight pixel arts that we had to bring to the new Magic art standard. And it was he would give me all ideas, like and especially if I wasn't so familiar with them. Like, so Final Fantasy 14, for example, when I learned I was leading that deck, I'd never played 14 before. When I started, I was like, I can't have that. So for the first month, I put 200 hours into Final Fantasy 14, learning it, playing it with a friend from work, and yeah, just falling in love with the game. And I think it's that kind of like genuine passion for the game that we were trying to bring to the fans, because we had that responsibility to deliver to the players.
So, I mean, would you say that you feel like amidst the different designers, because I know it's a large team that works on Magic, do you feel like every character or entity you wanted is in here, or are there some that aren't?
I think for these decks, I think we hit most of them because we talk about the tier system here. So tier 1 are like those characters, you know, like Cloud, Sephiroth. You know those. You played them today in the starter decks. You're going to expect to see those. So Gavin Verhey, the lead of the main set, kind of stayed in the tier 1 category across all 16 of the games, where he's hitting those main moments people are sure to recognize, dipping into tier 2 a little bit. But with these decks, because there are 100 cards from one game, we got to go into those tier 3 moments where it's like only certain people who have played the game for 200 hours will have seen this character. I like to say from Final Fantasy 14, there's a character, Hildebrand Manderville. You can do the entire, that's a name, right?
That's about full.
You can play the entire storyline and not actually see that character, because he's a whole side story character. But he's such a beloved character, I was like, I have to get that in there. So there are little moments like that I loved hiding in these decks.
So I'm aware to some extent, because, you know, I looked as much as I could as the reveals were coming, and I run an entertainment magazine, so I have music, movies, games, and television to care about. I couldn't do it like every time, everything.
Right.
I tried to pay attention as much as I could. My big jam, because we all have our era, right? Like, I think that's the thing with Magic, is there's certain pockets, and we talked a lot about, I'm a little bit on the older side as a Magic player is concerned. But when it comes to Final Fantasy, for me, it was the Super Nintendo Final Fantasy, which I think is 5? 6?
I think
4?
I started with 3.
I forget. The Square Enix fans out here are going to eat me alive
They're
for this.
gonna eat me alive.
Yeah, they're going to eat me alive for this moment. But the Super Nintendo Final Fantasy,
Yeah.
which I know is different canonically in the Japanese
Right.
releases, that one is my game. So
Right.
we're talking Cecil and Kane.
Sure.
Is Kane in this?
Yeah, Kane is in the main
Oh.
set. He's not in these decks because that's not one of the decks we hit for.
Of course.
For the Commander decks, but like I started with 7, so like you're like, it was this on Super Nintendo. I'm like, I started on PlayStation 1.
Mm-hmm.
It's 4. We're hearing it's 4.
Thank you.
But I started with 7, and then I had to work my way backwards to play some of the older ones.
Beautiful. And I mean, I saw Rosa in there,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm assuming Yang is in there.
Yeah,
and-
you're like, I know this one. And
Yeah, and I know Rosa because
Yeah.
that was my jam. At that time in my life, along with Super Metroid, Final Fantasy for Super Nintendo was what I thought was the best game ever made at that point.
Yeah.
At least. So we have 800 some odd cards,
Yeah.
ranged to
A lot.
2,000 by my horrible math.
It's somewhere between 800 and 2,000. We can agree on that.
Yeah, we have the Jumbo Cactuar, which we were joking about quite a bit out there, which I showed an old friend who gave up on Magic a long time, and he was like, literally, his text back to me was, WTF. Like, he was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
How is this even real?
You haven't lived until you flung a Jumbo Cactuar at someone.
I will now. It's going to happen for sure.
They won't live then.
Yeah. No, one of the things that's been really interesting to me because I've been following the Assassin's Creed sets, the Fallout sets, and I mean, some people come to me and I've sat down at Commander Nights. You know,
Yeah.
we talked earlier how my big problem with Magic is I want to still play Constructed,
Yeah.
but nobody I know plays Constructed anymore, and it's all Commander. So I end up having to go to Commander Nights, Commander meetups, I'm in pods, and a couple of the times I sit down, the players come to me and they literally say, "Hey man, what do you think about the Universes Beyond stuff?" And I'm like, what do you mean, what do I think about it? It's great. I love it. And they're like, some people tell me that they hate it. And I'm like, why? And I mean, I think I mentioned to you a minute ago about my shelf with, no, I didn't. I tell you about,
know. I don't know
have
about
a
this.
shelf. I have a thing called the Wall of Joy.
Okay.
Where I work at my desk, I have all my memorabilia from my music career and
that's
everything
awesome.
I've done. And there's a shelf, and it's the Secret Lair drop Transformers cards.
Oh,
That's literally right at eye line. I turn this way, and it's Megatron, and
yeah.
you know,
It's a big
Optimus-
Transformer fan then.
to some extent, it's a
Okay.
nostalgia, and like my friend is an influencer for Transformers, so he's got like 90,000 followers on
Yeah.
Instagram transforming things. So I have a limited degree of nostalgia, like literally. That's not a joke. He is super, super popular. At Cattlebane out there, so a plug for my friend. Anyway, but back to the point.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of all the Secret Lair drops and all the different sets,
Yeah.
all the different expansion sets, both within the continuity and outside in the universes beyond. The one thing that's been interesting to me, because I come from, banding,
Sure.
trample. There was not
We still
even
have trample.
We still have trample, but my point is there was only banding, only trample,
Yeah.
only first strike, and protection from whatever or swamp
Yeah,
walk.
and attacking doesn't cause this creature to tap.
Yeah, like Assassin's Creed had the free running ability,
Yeah.
which was hard for me to get my brain around. And I mean, what's great, the community is very good about, okay, this card means this, the card means this, the card means this. When
Yeah.
you sit down and you play with people, they're pretty good about it. But where it gets me to the point is, holy cow, there are so many mechanics now, I can barely keep them straight.
Yeah.
It is so hard for me to do that. I'm sure there's a bunch in this. We saw one which was the equipment.
We saw
one.
the job select.
Job
yeah.
select. That was one. I'm sure there's 3 or 4 more.
Yeah, so the main mechanics here are job select. This is an equipment that comes with a 1/1 hero. This is mostly based in Final Fantasy 1 and Final Fantasy 14. And that really helped me in Final Fantasy 14 deck because it's a non-creature matters deck. So that lets you play a non-creature spell, get all your triggers, but still have a creature to block with, so you're not just going to die to everybody just attacking you.
Yes.
And then the other one is Saga creatures. So if you know Saga and creature, you just put them together. That's our summons because they come in, they do a big impactful thing, and after a few turns, they leave. That's how they do in the game. That's how they do here.
Interesting.
And with the Tidus, the Final Fantasy X deck, you can move the counters off of the Saga so you keep them around longer. And so you can kind of just keep reactivating the same chapter over and over.
So do you feel like each set's still going to have this many new mechanics in terms of creature types and creature abilities, or do you feel like at some level we've kind of maxed out? Is there a lot of just keeping going? I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
No. I think that's a great question. I think we're going to keep making mechanics. Like, there's just so much space to design. As soon as someone thinks, oh, they can't do another thing, and then we come up with Saga creatures. Like, we keep making more cool, unique mechanics. We keep bringing back ones that make sense and with our IPs and with our worlds in Magic. And sometimes it's just like building upon them. Like, we have Manifest. Now we have Manifest Dread, where you look at the top 2 and then put one in your graveyard. Because that just made sense with a graveyard set like Dustmourne was.
Cool. So I'm going to end on this.
Okay.
Can I give you the most unconscious of pitches? I know this is probably not your decision, or you wouldn't say even if it was.
Help PR listening off.
Yeah, exactly. There's sniper rifle dots that are starting to hit your shirt, and can an old nerd, because we've now done Final Fantasy, can I silently pitch for Chrono Trigger? Please.
PR
Please.
laughs up.
Please.
I know there are a lot of Chrono Trigger fans.
Because I will literally sell my firstborn child if you have Magic Chrono Trigger. You do not understand. I play it on my phone. I play it on the console. I have never stopped.
Do not like me less, but I have not played Chrono Trigger. It's on my list.
That's okay.
It's been on my list for years.
It's kind of like if you've ever seen High Fidelity and the point where Jack Black hands blonde on blonde to the customer and he goes, "It's going to be okay." It's going to be okay.
But I know Gavin's a big fan. I know we have a lot of fans in the building of it.
I mean, it's one of those weird moments in history where it's so huge and it's so expansive and it's so heartwarming and so special and it holds up really well in its proto mechanics.
I'm told almost weekly that I need to play this game.
Yeah,
So.
see, there we go. So hopefully, no one's saying it's happening, folks. This is just me asking for it. Someday, Magic Chrono Trigger. Daniel, I super thank you for your time. I cannot wait to do this more. I'm sorry only that it was only a couple minutes in here, but, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks so much.
All right, man. Yay.